My son's fiancée demanded $50,000 for the wedding banquet during the dinner. My name is Daniel Hayes, and I had always prided myself on being a reasonable father, careful with finances and careful with family relationships. My son, Ethan, had recently gotten engaged to Clara Bennett, a young woman I liked well enough, but whose extravagant taste had always seemed a little beyond our means. The dinner was supposed to be a pleasant meeting between families, a chance to discuss plans and celebrate the engagement. My wife, Linda, prepared the table with care, polished silverware, fresh flowers, and a menu of carefully cooked dishes. Ethan and Clara arrived, and the atmosphere was polite and cheerful at first. We were halfway through the main course, discussing potential venues and dates, when Clara suddenly leaned forward, her eyes sharp and unwavering. "I've been thinking about the banquet," she said, tone casual but firm. "We need $50,000 to make it perfect." The table went silent. My fork paused mid-air. Linda's hand trembled slightly as she reached for her napkin. Ethan's mouth opened, then closed, clearly shocked. "50,000? I asked slowly, trying to mask my disbelief. "For the banquet?" "Yes," Clara replied. "It has to be a statement. Guests should be impressed. Every detail has to reflect the importance of the day." I tried to keep calm. "Clara, that's an enormous sum. Are you sure that's realistic?" She smiled faintly, as if this were the most natural request in the world. "Daniel, we can't compromise on this. It has to be exactly right. You'll understand once you see the proposals." Ethan looked at me helplessly. "Dad, she's serious." I leaned back in my chair, exhaling. My mind raced. $50,000 for a banquet was not just expensive, it was excessive. I had never seen a wedding proposal cost that much, even for the wealthiest families. Yet Clara spoke with an authority that suggested she expected compliance. I realized that responding with anger wouldn't help. I needed strategy, patience, and clarity. "Clara," I said evenly, "I understand that you want a beautiful event. But $50,000 is far beyond what we can or should spend. We need to find a way to celebrate that honors the occasion without risking financial instability." She shook her head. "You don't understand. It has to be luxurious. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Anything less is unacceptable." At that moment, I understood something important. This wasn't just about money. It was about control, expectations, and perception. Clara believed she could dictate terms because she thought I would not challenge her. I decided it was time to assert myself, calmly but firmly. "Clara," I said, placing my hand on the table to emphasize my point, "we are not refusing to celebrate. We are refusing to be reckless. A wedding is about love, family, and commitment, not an extravagant display. 50,000 is unnecessary and, frankly, unreasonable." Her eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of frustration crossing her face. But the firmness in my voice seemed to make her pause. I continued, "We can have a beautiful banquet, one that respects your vision but also respects our means. That is what responsible planning looks like." For several seconds, she was silent, clearly calculating. Ethan glanced at me, relief mixed with tension in his expression. My wife's eyes were wide but supportive, nodding subtly. Finally, Clara leaned back, exhaling. "All right," she said. Perhaps we can adjust the plans. But it still needs to be impressive." I nodded. "It will be. And we'll make it memorable, without spending a fortune." The rest of the dinner proceeded more smoothly. Conversation returned to venue options, catering, and guest lists, but the tension had eased. I realized that sometimes, families face conflicts not because of personal animosity, but because expectations clash with reality. A calm, measured response can prevent escalation and create a constructive solution. By the end of the evening, Clara seemed more receptive to compromise, and Ethan appeared relieved. I understood that boundaries, respect, and financial responsibility were crucial lessons, not just for me, but for the entire family moving forward. Sometimes, extraordinary demands appear at the most inopportune moments. But measured responses, clear reasoning, and patience can turn potential conflict into understanding, preserving both dignity and family harmony. As we cleared the table, I felt a sense of quiet satisfaction. I had navigated a tense situation, asserted limits without confrontation, and set the stage for a wedding that could truly celebrate love, without risking our financial stability.